Welcome. This is Bob Samuels from Tech Connector. Thank you for joining. At Tech Connector, we run these podcasts several times a year to share best practices for the benefit of marketing and sales community within our B2B tech sector. As a small reminder, Tech Connector is a lead generation marketplace that offers lead generation buyers a simple way to access vetted, trusted suppliers with concierge level consultation. Let me know if this is of interest and we can discuss further at your convenience. Thank you. And now let's get to the podcast. Mike, Mark, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Bob.
Good to be
So,
here.
if you guys can introduce yourself, Mark, if you can start, give a little bit of your background and also maybe a fun fact that someone would know about you from looking at your LinkedIn profile.
Okay, so 30 years entrepreneur in the sales and marketing space, agency owner for 20, lead generation for 10, and AI now for about 8. And a little fun fact, I was a geographer and I studied something called time-space convergence, which got me into the internet, which was my first run as an agency owner.
Fun fact. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Mike?
yeah, Mike Farrell, in the agents lead gen appointment setting world for the past 22 years. Prior to that, 20 years in the computer reseller channel. So, fun fact is I have 8 grandchildren. How's that?
That's amazing.
And growing.
Fun, fun, fun. So I'd like to start things off with a poll. We've got some folks in our audience that I specifically invited because they're going to add great value. You attendees, if you can raise your hand or put in a chat or something like that when you're ready to talk, and I'll bring you up onto the virtual stage. In the meantime, just to get things started. Want to start off with the challenging side of AI or the pitfalls or the warnings. What are some of the pitfalls and risks that you're seeing in AI and sales? And what are your biggest concerns about AI, using AI for sales? So you get the
Mike,
data
you want to go
quality, you
first?
got the over automation, you got compliance issues, you got skills atrophy, which I think is a real risk, and then brand risk. So while our folks are answering, Mark, what are you thinking about the risk? And Mike, feel free to join in too.
Sure. I think the pitfalls, AI is not a solution, it's a tool. And I think a lot of people are looking at AI as a solution. You really need to have human oversight and ensure that the human is embracing the AI and understanding what the AI can do. So that would be my reaction to that in a kind of a high level.
Yep. Mike, your thoughts?
I think the I don't think there's a skills atrophy standpoint because it's not going to be magic, right? It's not going to replace the human element. It's going to, it should, if done right, applied right, it should accelerate the performance of your best people. And kind of A players are going to have better results. B players are going to have better results, and potentially C players can rise up, or they're going to be washed out, because they're not embracing it and making it help them, because that's really what it is. It's a it can be an accelerant, it can be a propeller. I think there's some compliance issues on the any kind of outbound calling. I've interviewed some companies that have the AI voice going, but you have to have really to be compliant. I think you have to have the opt-in leads to do that, and I think some people are going to take those risks and just do cold outreach with an AI phone, and that's I think that's a risk.
Okay, thank you. So I'm sharing the feedback from the audience. Anybody want to chime in about your answer? Please raise your hand or put in the chat or something like that. So data quality is a big issue. So garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely.
And then compliance. What are the issues with compliance? I mean, I know there's regular issues as far as outreach and so forth. Is there additional issues when the AI comes into play?
Well, as I see it, you follow the rules. So the rules are established and they will be moving and changing, as we all know over time. We've seen that. AI is just another tool to allow you to do more outreach. Could talk more about the specifics on that in a bit here, but I don't think it breaks any rules because the human is engaging the AI at this point, where we are currently, to follow the rules. So it's a human interaction play. I don't see any issues there relative to AI if it's used properly at this point.
Okay. And I know Stephen and Kay chimed in. Do either of you want to be brought up and discuss a little bit further about your thoughts? Let me see. Let me bring, let's see if I can bring Stephen up. And then so the atrophy, I guess you guys, I mean, I think there's a big concern. People, the lazy salespeople will be lazy, and I guess the point is they'll be out. I mean, it's a self-correcting thing. Um, that's the way it is. So hey, Stephen, how are you? Nice to
Good,
join.
Bob. Thank you.
So you're seeing too that AI is not it's not a solution, right? It's a tool.
No, totally. I run marketing and sales at Valis. We're a B2B lead generation company global. So the team has built this in-house. But that is the biggest concern that I have, the accuracy. Because it's funny, recently I was in a panel moderating with people that were globally, and what came up a great deal was compliance and regulation. There's no regulation on a global level.
Right.
So, what I get concerned about as a company that's developed it for our clients, and you have so many companies out there that are saying, okay, we have the AI. Yeah, but do they? And then it puts the whole thing into a bad realm. And I completely agree with you, Mark. It's not a solution. So I think a
Right.
lot of people believe that it's a solution. But compliance is important. But I also the accuracy is the other thing that can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So I totally agree with what you both said. It's great. You're right.
I think, to double click a bit on that, Stephen, in regards to how people are using AI, people think it's almost like .com back in the day. .com was not a thing.
That's
It
right.
was, AI is not a thing. AI
That's right.
is an output of leveraging things like large language models and the infrastructure to develop an asset. And in your case, in my case, and I think Mike as well can agree to this, we have developed an asset, which is one piece of how AI can be used to
Right.
perform a function. If
Right.
you and I got on a call after this at some point, we would have dialogue relative to what you're doing, what we're doing, and it would be very different, but probably in this overlap relative to what the output you want to be, the goal
Mhm.
is that you're trying to get to. And I think a lot of people don't understand it is truly how you take a lump of clay and use AI to form it into something that is of substance to an audience, whatever that may be.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. I that's it's misuse that I get concerned about. And you're right. The way you put it, and it could be misuse. And it's not ever going to take away the human element. And I love the fact that you put that out there. It's just not. You have to have it. But what I said in there too is what I've seen is that you also have to have the right stakeholders. Everybody's got to agree about how it's going to the path you're going to take. And that's the concern that you have so many people jumping
Right.
onto this new thing. And I love your relationship with .com. Okay, I'm old enough to remember those days, but it can be difficult. It could be your worst enemy if it's not done properly from the beginning. So that's got to be something that I think everybody needs to remember as they dive into it. So good point. Totally.
Bob, okay if I keep going on this one for a sec?
Absolutely. And
All
then
right.
Steve, I'm going to bring you back down to attendee, and then I'll bring Kay in for the next
Thank
question.
you.
But yeah, go ahead,
Nice
Mark.
job. So in the vein of what Stephen and I were talking about, when you look at what Dell told me early on when we were developing our platform and what we're trying to do, the idea of optimizing their team of salespeople was the conversation in one respect. So I won't mention the meat and potatoes thing today until we get to that. But in short, yes, there will be an impact on humans associated with AI. It doesn't replace, but it could reduce. And that's what people are fearful of, is the reduction. There will never be humans that are not doing something until AI gets into AGI and all these things that dystopian people are talking about and where AI is going to go. We don't control that right now. We control this. How do we use AI today? And what does it mean for us? And how do we continue to optimize it? It does affect humans, though. That's why humans need to embrace AI and start to learn a bit about it, not to be in the dark on it. My 2 cents.
Beautiful. Kay, what are your thoughts?
Well, I
Thanks for
believe
joining, by the way.
you're very welcome. And I believe AI is merely a tool run by humans. Now it's coded by humans and it learns from content. So depending on how it's been taught to learn, then you should be fine with most of the issues that you see here. I view it as doing mundane tasks behind the scenes that humans can use to do more, so that humans can do much more strategic thinking. I don't believe it replaces humans. I believe it's a way to supplement our knowledge.
Hey, I have a question. Do you think down the line there will be an issue with AI replacing not just mundane, but more strategic items?
I don't know that the strategic items yet are part of what I see AI doing. It could down the line, but certainly I don't see it with the reasoning. It's never going to think like a human or innovate like a human. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Many people have replaced programmers, for example, taking it out of the sales realm with, just AI. And they've quickly learned when they've done that they need human beings because that's where the innovation comes from. That's where the knowledge of your specific company comes from that an AI agent may or may not know. But I'm talking about agents now behind the
Yep,
scenes doing work.
agreed.
So for me, if I were a sales guy and I had an agent that could write a reasonable email that I could, in fact, somehow fix if needed and get that out and it works behind the scenes to do this and so on, I'd be very happy. That means the company can scale and it can scale appropriately through
Hmm.
sales, through marketing, through other means that it can. But and I've heard all the CEOs talking about, yay, we have a tool to eliminate people. Well, they've done that a little bit in the program, for coding folks, and they found that they got to bring them back.
I think you're spot on, Kay. I think the skill, the sales skills. Salespeople are gonna have to upskill on the selling part and the human connection part because the mundane tasks will be taken care of. So they're going to get some hours back in their day if some of those mundane tasks that you just mentioned can be facilitated through AI. But it means they really have to apply their skill. So many people lean on those tasks versus the skills they need to create to bring value to their clients and close more deals. So
I see sales, Mike, as a relationship business. I still see it
yeah,
that way.
yep.
For a
It is.
while during the pandemic, we said, oh, we can't create the relationships, and we tried to do it online and so on. And we did our best. But people like to talk to people.
Yep.
They like to buy from people. So I don't see sales ever being effective if you are a relationship salesperson and know how to do that by an AI agent that's not human.
Agreed. Agreed
World of
completely.
complex sales. Yeah.
In the current state of where AI is today, Kay, 100% agree. Down the line,
Yeah.
it will change. There will be a big change relative to AGI and how things evolve, and no one really knows. There's some models out there that are pretty incredible, but a human needs to be more strategic in their selling process and approach relative to AI. Our company call sign, and I won't make it a self-promotion play, but is about giving the sales rep time back so they can focus as I look over here to my strategic day-to-day versus over here to what call sign and AI is doing for me. The time is the most valuable asset I have as a strategic salesperson entrepreneur. the uplift and the click-throughs and the things that can come with well-structured content that is meant for outreach and well-engineered content that the AI can do, that's the bonus. That's the bonus. So for me, it is truly what you're saying, and I think we all agree that everyone needs to lean into AI at a level where they start to understand what it can and can't do right now and how that affects them in their day-to-day, especially as a strategic salesperson selling relationship-driven sales versus widgets. If you're selling widgets, it's taking orders. But if you're selling consultative selling or relationship selling, that's what a human does. Absolutely.
Even in taking orders, what we've found, if you have an e-commerce application on your website, they want to talk to somebody sometimes, unless they've already bought it 100 times and then they'll just go in and rebuy. But people want to talk to people if they're going to buy something, and particularly now when we're very, very cost conscious about what we buy, whether you're an individual or whether you're in a company, you are cost conscious now.
100%.
So,
100%.
Kay, thank you for that. Kay, so you're a marketing person. Is it the same story for marketers as it is for sales as far as the tool?
Yeah, and I think what the tools are doing is bringing sales and marketing closer together. So I don't think the tools are replacing either side. Both sides need to be more strategic. Everyone's not going to buy your product, your solution, your service. So the human being has to figure out who the ICP is and who we're going to work with. It's not just anybody who's in a certain category anymore. That's a big strategic ask. And sales and marketing need to do it together. And I don't care who starts or who edits or any of that. But these tools and processes bring us together so that we offer something reasonable to each and every customer that we have.
I agree with that. And I'll turn it over to Mike in a second if he wants to chime in. But the full funnel is marketing and sales as a team symbiotic in today's day and age, more so than ever. Of course, every entity has its own little structure. But when we're looking at AI as it relates to the core messaging, the brand promise, as well as the why, sales is the why, not the what. If marketing and sales work together, the what and the assets and the value prop and the branding and marketing tie into the sales message, and the sales message is asking for the deal, then it's a very, very good connection between marketing and sales, leveraging AI to help them create content, create messaging that's on brand, on point, but also sales driven.
I agree with everything you said. I see it as a way that we work together, whether that's natural or not.
Right.
I believe
Right.
this tool is helping us work together.
I agree. And look, as a guy that was in marketing for 20 years with an agency and then lead generation and AI sales engagement now, it's still funnel driven. It's just what is the strategy relative to where you are in the funnel? And awareness and filling the top of the funnel is much more marketing centric and brand centric than asking for the deal, which is the close. But it's all connected.
It's all connected, and marketing should be working throughout the funnel to assist sales in closing those deals.
Yep.
So sales takes the lead, sometimes marketing takes the lead, but it's a give and take.
And we all have to realize the buyer's still in control. It's their journey. It's their journey
Right.
on through their education process to the time they have a sales conversation. So, but I think the AI outreach where Mark's company's product can automate some of that. That's really companies were throwing lots of bodies at SDRs because it was a lot of manual processes, and that automation is now being accelerated with the use of AI, and that's where there can be some shrinkage of an SDR team, but the SDR. So if a company had 100 people before, maybe they only have 60, right? The AI is outreach is helping to still hit the KPIs, the outbound KPIs and appointment bookings and whatnot, with fewer people because of that efficiency in the automation.
Well, I think we need to hold off. And I realize we just had Jeff Bezos out saying, and not Jeff, but his team, his CEO, saying that it's going to eliminate jobs and so on. I think we need to hold off and see how AI evolves over time, whether it's a BDR team or anything else. Because if our BDRs could take the time to do quality research and really speak initially with that customer, then qualify it and hand it off to a salesperson, it would be far more qualified than they are today. Today they've got a number they have to hit and they do the best they can.
Yeah, and AI can help with that. That's part of the research and the understanding. When you have in our platform, we have multi-large language model, not OpenAI as an only one. So in our space, it's about the data. Can we connect the materials, the product and service offerings our clients sell that the AI now knows to the people where the AI knows everything about that person relative to their LinkedIn, to the URL tied to their email address where they work, et cetera. You can get some incredible output if you do it right and you manage it right. But the problem we're seeing in the space right now is people think that AI is the solution. And we talked about this, early in the webinar here. It's not. It's an asset that needs to be leveraged, and you can't just pick one off the shelf and say, "Great, that's going to work for me." Because right now, there's a lot of AI junk out there, absolute snake oil. And this is where I think people just think it is a solution. It's not. It's going going to the grocery store and saying, "Well, it's just cereal." You pick the random box off the shelf. I think that
I,
might be the good analogy right there. I like that one.
I like that analogy, Mark. And I think that, a well-trained AI platform with AI agents is not simple. And it's not happening in a year or 2 years. So we need to lock around, be safe, use well-respected tools that have been trained for a number of years, and then take a baby step into it. Don't just think that it's going to solve all my problems. And if I'm a CEO, I'm going to cut half the workforce. Because I truly don't believe that's going to happen.
I agree with you 100%. And I think just our personal journey taking now 2.5 years. We worked with AI in 18 early on and very raw. And our journey has been large language models, right? Looking at them, looking at all of the different nuances of these connectors and Llama Index and looking at the early, as this evolved into what it is today, this is nascent stages. They call it stumbling agents right now. And this is like a little baby trying to get up and walk. But the speed of what's going to happen over the next 18 months to 5 years is going to be breakneck. Absolutely. We have never seen this before. But humans are still here, and humans will be here to leverage and manage. And the dystopian, kind of what's going to happen in 5 years if we don't do anything and we let it run rampant, that's a different discussion for a different time. This is about what does AI do for me today? How can I be more efficient? And how can I ensure that I understand what I'm buying or what I'm using? Because if I don't, you're going to waste a lot of time on stuff that does not work for you. And that's the one thing I'll tell the entire team here and whoever listens to this down the line, make sure you do your homework.
I agree with you. I work for a company that's been doing this since 2014, and it's a native AI application. And it's not a separate CRM and map anymore because that doesn't work. We're bringing that together into one. So I think people need to look at the direction they need to want to go. They need to look at the credibility, who's using the application, why did it work for them, and then make a decision. Do I want to look at this tool for creating demand generation or not?
Right. Agreed.
But I will say those tools that are not implementing AI, by the way, I'm certified in two of them and very partial to them, by the way. But if they don't get some AI working behind the scenes, they're going to be left behind. And we've seen this over and over in our industry. It's those that can actually grab something, make it work versus just create junk or snake oil. But I think any good marketing and salesperson realizes when that happens. They realize it before it happens if they talk to a human.
Very well put.
Thank you.
Well put.
Okay, Kay, I'm gonna bring you back to as a attendee. Feel free to chime in as interested. I'm gonna bring up the next poll. We talked about sales and marketing. So, Mark, you used the word symbiosis, right? So, how is AI strengthening the relationship between sales and marketing? Is it getting to a unified message, which seems to be a utopian sort of thing, right? And then data sharing, workflow automation, limited impact, and then some negatives, right? So potential conflict. Maybe AI makes it more complicated or lessens the value of the relationship. And any thoughts, you and Mike?
Mike, you first. Go ahead. Doing a lot of talking.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that just recently. Kay brought that up about sales and marketing working closer together. I think there is some challenges. I think AI, if you let sales reps just have AI create their messaging without some some other eyeballs on it, you could have lots of different value props going out there. I'm not uh, a big believer of hard coding a message for and not having some flexibility, but I think there's some risk in that where I know marketing likes to control the message, or and sales can sometimes take it, be too freewheeling with it. And I think AI can be help with that. But there's, what do they call it, Mark? They call it hallucination
Correct.
in the AI world. And so it's going to be some of that too. So you got to be careful.
It's interesting you say that. In that sales and marketing are coming together. We all know that, and it's become kind of one full funnel communication stream. Marketing controls assets typically. There are two types of assets. One is sales support materials, and that's directly for salespeople, and the other marketing materials. They all inform AI as to what it is you are selling. So AI can index that and understand that, and it's like, okay, great, I've got this data now. I know exactly what we're selling. If there's a spelling mistake in your materials, it's not the AI tool, it's in your materials, right? But at the end of the day, these tools are incredibly powerful for hand-to-hand combat salespeople. And if you look at the people, if you can connect the asset of what you sell, the messaging associated with approved marketing materials and approved sales materials, and that is essentially called the materials in our company, that gives the AI what it needs. If the person has, and there's information on this person where they're an ideal customer profile, then connecting those two entities using AI to write content that's specific to those people is the power of AI in lead generation. There's zero doubt there. And that's where we live. And that's where a lot of people live now. I look at it as a great opportunity to create a personalized message to somebody based on the fact that the AI knows what it's selling and knows who it's selling to, so we can get their attention. So the salesperson can say, great, thank you, AI, you did your job. Someone asked me the other day, and several times in the past several months, well, can AI respond to the message? I said, absolutely. But no, we don't do that. Why not? Well, because AI is evolving, and if the sales rep sees activity in what the AI has done, gotten the attention of the person, I'm not interested. Okay, thank you. You can automatically take them out at that point. But you don't want the AI to do that because I'm not interested because of X. Well, maybe there's an opportunity there. Maybe as a salesperson, you want to keep them in your prospecting outreach. And one of my favorite ones as an example is when someone on LinkedIn goes like this. I don't know what that means. So if I get a response through call sign, our tool, and someone responds like that, I will step in and say, great. I assume this may mean you're interested. It's a positive reaction. So here's my calendar. I look forward to hearing from you. I do not take them out of outreach at that point. So AI can do a lot of incredibly cool things, but just because it can doesn't mean it should. And back to my point, marketing and sales together, crafting messaging and approved data that can support what the AI is indexing about your offering That's incredibly powerful because it means people can leverage AI to do some of the work that they would normally be doing. So sales and marketing can be much more strategic in nature.
What you're saying earlier, you got to really feed them whatever large language model you're using. You got to feed it all your company's content to train it, just like you would train a salesperson, right?
In short, yes. But the large language model is the asset. It's a lump of clay, right? So if you're using AI, in our case, we're using AI to generate leads for clients. It's going to understand the assets, the materials about what it's selling, and the people who it's selling to. Then the prompting, the directions of the AI to go out and say, okay, craft a message that talks about our offering, et cetera. And that grabs information from the large language model and brings it in. So it's a combination of a lot of different things. When people use something like OpenAI as one source, a large language model, it has one data set, really, and it has its own bend on that data. So that's why I tell people, look at multiple large language models, which is part of what we did because we knew it could give you more. Imagine also if you wanted to write in the voice of an entity that has a ton of data in the space. Example, Malcolm Gladwell. I am not Malcolm Gladwell. I'm Mark Troy. I am not a brand. I have some data. If I wanted to write in the way I would typically communicate, then I have to kind of fine tune the AI to do that. Great, that works. But imagine if you could get it in a voice that was literally based on prose and tone and presentation, and it has a lot of data to call upon. That's an exciting way for salespeople to get something to be a little bit more authentic and more human. Because AI is still not human. It still kind of feels a little robotic if you don't have it dialed in the way you need to. And you have to dial it in. You have to.
Excellent. So here's the results of the poll. Unified messaging. If whoever said pointed out the potential conflict, if you want to chime in and explain what you're thinking, that would be helpful because it does make sense that the AI is a unifying opportunity for sales and marketing. So I'll go on. So Mark, you had mentioned the meat and potatoes analogy. Could you explain more? I
Sure.
enjoyed that story.
So this is a little bit about us. So I apologize that it's a call sign advertisement, not trying to be. But when we're developing call sign, our concept at the time was unique outreach to each individual using AI versus the industry, which is still mostly this case, sequenced, templatized outreach across whatever platform you're using. 2023, I'm out there talking with people about building out call sign, and people are excited. We're in the process of doing it. And we get on LinkedIn, and I get 2,000 people that are interested in a month if we pulled off what we said we could do. Dell took a call. This guy was a director level at Dell. I'll fast forward now. He says, I'll get you a meeting with some people internally. We're trying to figure this out ourselves right now. I said, great. We get on the call. There's 3 senior VPs on this call from Dell, which is like the Pope, the President, and the Queen coming together. I'm like, what are you all doing here? And they're like, well, we wanted to see if what you said is actually true. Have you pulled it off? And we said, yeah, here it is. We showed it to him. It was very early. And I was talking about the benefits. And I said, well, it's about deliverability, click through, meetings booked, et cetera, getting the uplift you're looking for. And one of the senior VPs goes, nope. I go, what? And he goes, nope, grab a pencil, Mark. And I'm like, okay. And I grab a pencil and I say, all right, I'm ready. And 20 years ago, I wouldn't have done that, but I did it. And he was really direct. He was like, listen, it's meat and potatoes and gravy, Mark. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, you're telling me you would have unique messages going out and we will have our templated going out. I said, yeah, absolutely. He goes, you can't be any worse than us. You can only be better. Deliverability all the way through, meetings booked and deal flow. I said, okay, that makes sense. He says, why would you chase those numbers? I said, I get it. It could be 8% uplift for one company, 12 for another, 15, 50. I've seen 50. It can be anything. We don't control what we don't control. That's not in our control. He said, the meat and potatoes are more important. I go, tell me, what is it all about? He goes, I've got 1,000 sales reps complaining that they can't sell in my division. You're giving time back to the salespeople. You're giving me clarity on their performance. You're giving me the opportunity. I hate this part because, okay, I think it was, we agree on this, but yeah, I can cut the bottom 10, 20% more easily now and more effectively and more quickly. That's your product. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. This is about what's the most precious asset to a salesperson that is strategic and not trying to hide is time. I can be more strategic. AI allows me. I think someone in the comments was saying it takes away the mundane and the tactical lives. It does and it doesn't, but yes, in part, it can absolutely do that at a high level if you empower it to do so. You still need to be the human involved, and I can get back to actually selling versus writing templates and playing around with data and scrubbing emails and et cetera, et cetera. I can get to work. Meat and
Beautiful.
potatoes and gravy.
I love that story. Love the
I do
story.
too. It's
Thank
funny
you.
to me.
All right. So actually, Michael McLaren was the one that brought up the conflict or potential conflict between sales and marketing. I've asked him to come up and explain a little bit. Hey, Michael, how are you? Nice to see you again. And you're on mute. Here we go.
Yeah, I've got it. Hey guys, how are you?
I'm Michael.
Enjoying this conversation greatly. I may have been the kind of the fly in the ointment here, but there was two things that Mike said that really stuck with me, and I think this is what was behind some of the commentary about them moving in different directions. So the first thing is this idea that it's still the buyer's journey. We forget that the buyer is the sort of key stakeholder, and we're kind of optimizing the way that we're going to get our message out and so on. And then the second one is this idea that uh, how are we engaging with them in the way and the place that they want to? So what I see a lot of, and at clients, so we're a digital transformation agency, is businesses using AI to optimize their go-to-market approach as it existed pre-AI. So they're trying to perfect the model of, lead, nurture, conversion, in that world as if it was the same as it was 10 years ago. And it makes sense to me that happens because, people are trying to build their careers and continue to succeed and so on. But what we've been witnessing is this transformational shift in that B2B buying journey. I'm focused on B2B, and the fact that a B2B buyer is younger. It tends to be millennial, Gen Z now, more predominantly, and they want to engage with businesses in a very different way. And they want to go deeper into the buying process. They want to stay anonymous for as long as they can. They want to have less and less human contact. I mean, don't even ask me about how bad it is in a social landscape, but it's coming over into the professional world. And what I see a lot of is companies not re-architecting and re-engineering their kind of sales engine to accommodate that buyer preference, but they're using AI to optimize the world as if it was the same as it was 10 years ago. And so what's resulting is the impact, which is what I highlighted, where the marketing people are off doing their thing. And then the other thing Mike said is, salespeople often will invent ICPs and they'll invent sort of value propositions to kind of build a story to nurture a lead. And what I've seen in several instances is marketing and sales getting further apart as opposed to getting closer together. And I think that there's a core engineering of the sales funnel that needs to happen before you get to the application of tools such as AI. And not a lot of companies are doing that.
Michael, you bring up a good point. I think the idea that we're just focusing right now on how we do our outreach in our conversation, but the buyer's journey. I don't know about you, but I use Google Gemini or ChatGPT every day when I ask myself a question, right? So what does that mean? If someone's in that buying mode or someone's in that somewhere in that journey, and they're asking those large language models those questions, that means that content that we put out as marketers and salespeople becomes more and more important, right? You got to put content out in the public realm so your content can be found and served up as a answer to that question, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of like
there's
SEO. It's kind of like an SEO, a big SEO play.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're moving away from SEO, moving to GEO. And I think that, the way that content is being consumed is getting kind of aggregated up off the .com and into a generative AI world. And as you say, it's serving a totally different contextual kind of lens on content. And so many companies and big B2B companies that I've worked with are not really thinking about how to redesign their content so that it lives more comfortably in that next layer of consumption. And also, honestly, things like video content
Right.
and creative, sort of visual content, stuff that millennials and Gen Zs love to consume, and that's what's driving their decision. And simple stuff like I've talked to clients about put pricing details out there so that the self-directed buyer is going to be able to do some sort of due diligence on all the way down to pricing before they identify themselves to the sales organization, which, is kind of like a hard red line for some of these businesses. They just won't
Right.
do it. And so I just think that we've got this, and I'm on the service side. So, I'm not on the client side, but I've seen so many clients that there's this lack of alignment around the buyer, what's happening in the buyer's world. And they're applying tools like AI to optimize their world, which isn't necessarily the buyer's world.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Mark and I come from the go-to-market outreach world, but that's why I always have to kind of anchor myself in, hey, the buyer's in control. And what are they consuming? How are they using AI to educate
Right.
themselves and move themselves through the journey? So that's why I think content is going to be more important from anybody that's selling a product.
And what's interesting there is everyone buys differently, right? And to your point, Michael, sorry, McLaren, a person that over indexes on LinkedIn consumption versus email versus phone calls, as an example, just a silly little example of, and that's where people are selling. People say phone doesn't work. It does. People say email is dead. It's not. People say LinkedIn got saturated. It did, but it's still part of the outreach program that you have to have as a multi-touch, multi-channel, especially in the sales component of the funnel. The awareness and stuff that you do, Michael McLaren, that I did for 20 years, we're talking about awareness. We're getting people's attention, but the attention has changed relative to the generation. All of us on this call right now are the old guys. We are. We're not the buyers. So when we look at our product, we put in there the voice opportunity so people can choose that. Millennials and Gen Zs are looking at that type of stuff. Video, we're converting AI content into video on the fly so that you can send something that is a video of the message you want them to consume, because they may look at video, which they do, more so than a general email. All those things are about using AI appropriately to understand your audience, to get them to act in a way which you define as success. And to your point, Michael McLaren, on the buyer's journey is not, intent data doesn't tell you when people are buying. As an example, ICP trumps intent data, in my opinion, because you don't know when someone's on the buyer's journey. So that's why all of this to say, the content that resonates with the audience, when you catch them at the right time, you don't know where they're going to consume. So you have to be able to use tools, including AI, to get content in front of the person so that you have the shot at getting their attention. If I have an apple and I know you like fruit, let's say, Michael McLaren, you like fruit. I don't know what you like, but Mike Farrell, I know you love Macintosh. I got a really good shot at getting both of your attention over time. And Bob Samuels, you like tuna fish sandwiches. You're not buying my apple, so I'm not going to send it to you. It's a simple game. It's just everybody needs to evolve with AI now because it's changing the game.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. I'm going to bring you back to the audience, and then we'll see if we have time for one or two more polls here. Or let's see. Hold on. Let's see. So let's see. Oh, stop sharing. Okay, got it. All right, back. And here we go. All right. So vision for AI transformation of sales. So in the next 1 to 3 years, and Mark, I just wanted maybe if you can hit on AI 2027, what the article that
Yeah.
you shared, it could be interesting. But what is this? I used to ask what's how do you see things in 3 to 5 years when I had my earlier podcast, but now it's more of a 1 to 2 year, next 6 to 8 months or whatever. It's just the timing's just crazy.
Well,
Um,
I'll share this if you don't mind. I'm just sharing my screen so people can
yeah,
see. Can you see the AI 2027?
I can. Thank
This
you.
is this is worth a read, and it gets a bit little silly at one point where you can go either good or bad. But this is some incredible AI experts talking about what could happen. It's worth a read. It's really, really, if you're interested in AI, this is a fun, and the infographics on this are incredible. There's a timeline associated with it and everything. But I think when I look at this right now, we are literally in the beginning of stumbling agents. And as this starts to evolve time-wise, it talks about the acceleration, artificial general intelligence, um, the economy, what can happen. And this is where AI can turn into a superhuman slash godlike structure at some point. That likely will happen. The question is what happens with it. I look at this as everyone just getting educated, taking pieces of AI research and understanding where it applies to their day to day, whether you're in healthcare, you're in sales, you're in marketing, you're in manufacturing. It is all going to come to a place where being educated is vital. So articles like this and others are pretty interesting to kind of dig into without it becoming a lot of time, if you will.
Thanks. And I'll share this with everyone afterward if you're interested.
David just did. Well done, David.
Oh, okay. Oh, good, David.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right. So, results. So, yeah, I think people are optimistic. They're not seeing this as a way to cut headcount. It's more of a revolutionizing selling, getting more enhanced personalization. Um, and if anybody wants to share their answers, feel free to raise your hand or jump in. Um, Mark, Mike, what are your thoughts of the vision for AI's transformations in the next 1 to 3 years?
Hmm. Me or you, Michael?
Yeah, I would just say that, we talked about a lot of it already. I mean, now it's automating some of the outreach with personalization. Um, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the it's going to be 2 years from now. It's probably going to be something different, or more enhanced. Going back to there's always a bottom 10% or 15% of a sales team that gets washed out. Um, that's just part of selling. It's a performance job. There's a scoreboard. Um, but I think if people can embrace it, if salespeople can embrace it and really help them drive more performance, then it could, move some C players to B players and B players to A players. So I think it has that capability. Um, but it's going, but if they don't, if those C players or B players don't embrace it, right, they're going to slide back, right? So I think there's that is going to happen, and the good news is I think most of the sales folks out there now are a younger generation, and most of them embrace technology change.
Yep.
So I'm hopeful that it really does enhance sales teams.
I agree with that. I think in the bigger picture, we're going to see massive changes in 3 years with AI. There's no zero doubt. We're going to see things our landscape will change. It's going to happen. In the sales, marketing and sales world relative to creating demand gen for your product and offering, you will see displacement, but you'll see optimization as well. You'll see salespeople be the good will rise to the top. I think, Mike, to your point, others will come in at an area where they can influence and be really good because they were doing different things before that were more tactical, possibly. So you'll see others come into kind of that B player, if you will, that could become the A player. And there will be cut of those that just do not perform and have not embraced technology. I think, Mike, you make a good point in the generational play here. We're dealing with most users are now millennial and Gen Z. They're not X and they're certainly not boomers. Certainly, there's a lot of people out there like us that are selling, but this is about where AI can enhance the salesperson's strategic function on a day-to-day and asking for the deal and creating the demand versus scrubbing a list, right? Appending data, creating a workflow. Those things take time. That's leakage, as we all know in the space, and nobody wants leakage. I would rather, with my tool, me using it, I'm getting time back, and that's what I wanted from the asset that we created, and I'm able to do more with less. Great, but it doesn't change the salesperson. You still got to be. I think it was, is it Kay? I apologize if I messed your name up at all. I believe that to be true. It's a relationship play still for now.
Thank you. We're running out of time here. Let me go back to, so I want to bring up Shonadeep. Shonadeep's got a nice background. He's on the enterprise side, and it'll be good to hear his perspective on AI and sales on the sales side and the marketing side, how that's working where he is. You're on
You're
mute.
muted. Yeah.
Hi, Shonadeep. Nice to see you.
Hey everyone.
Excellent. So, wanted to get your perspective of AI, and I don't know if you had any specific questions for our panelists.
No, I mean, I do actually, and I kind of wear two hats. One is on the e-commerce side, one is on the marketing side at Schneider Electric. So we think about AI in three ways. One is in our products. One is the products that we sell, and the other part is that we enable the entire data center industry because we're building all the liquid cooling and power distribution and power and electrical distribution technologies that feeds the data center side. And so on the commercial side, on the sales side, we have a big field services network, for example, and more than I think 12,000 field sales. And basically, they are highly involved in very tedious sort of activities of assessing the asset and that sort of thing that will save a lot of time and efficiency. And some of the challenges that we have are around finding the install base, finding who is the asset owner, finding where the asset is, that sort of thing that I think will transform. But very curious on how you all see call it the connection of both a human and the product and the asset, and how AI can help bring that to a better. When I say I'm thinking about it from the services angle. But when you take the product and the asset, the human is an asset, but the product and the services that the human can provide. Have you had any insight, any experiences there and successes? And would love to hear more.
So are you asking if AI has helped us with that kind of conversion?
Yeah.
Yeah. In my world, yes, that's my day-to-day with call sign. The AI is doing some things that are actually kind of blowing my mind. I am not the technologist behind it. I'm an entrepreneur, but my two partners, Beth Redden and Logan Kelly, have created something that we haven't seen yet in the space. Now, it's not a call sign pitch, it's a fact. It's what we're doing every day. And to see the AI pull off what it can pull off, there's this training people use with AI that means, like, if you boot up C3PO tomorrow and that's your little buddy for the first time, and you say, go get me a cup of coffee, what do you think's going to happen? When? From where? What is coffee? Right? But here's coffee. Go learn it. Yep, I got it. I learned everything about coffee you could ever imagine. Okay, phenomenal. Well, here's coffee Mark Troy likes and how I like it. Let me give you that input. Great. That's where AI is right now. That's where the agents are starting to turn into these little bots that can understand and learn. And as you see now, agentic AI and agentic UI, and then AI to AI communication. When Microsoft comes out with this new bot that you can all get, and I have an individual one, or my company has one, And I think Kay brought this up earlier. It doesn't replace, but it can certainly optimize. And if it says, okay, this AI bot knows everything about our company, our goals, our strategies, confidential information, of course, et cetera, and has every bit of that data consumed and is a super expert on it. Imagine if that AI can connect to, let's say, a call sign AI, and okay, they're learning how to optimize each other. That's where this gets really interesting over the next 18 months or so. But right now it's crude, it's rudimentary, but it works. It really can give you time back. It's incredible. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
Mark, that's great.
good. That's good.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Turndeep. So yeah, so you mentioned, Turndeep, that you've got the AI baked in your product, and your product also helps helps everybody use their own AI. And then you has from the marketing standpoint or from the sales standpoint, is that something you guys are embracing?
Yeah, I mean, I've been, most of my effort has been on those two sides. And I'm kind of the ambassador for both elevating marketing, not even in the function, but as the act of marketing using AI for our teams. And right now we're doing the hygiene pieces first, which is around text, and then making sure that that's being used properly, but then the ability to then act on it with agents and workflows so that we can then go and, for example, I can go say, I want to go target anybody that has a job title X, that we go and then read up all on their sustainability research reports, go study the customer, then go and connect our offering and their pain points that we solve with that to then go hyper locally target and engage them, and then give them nurturing information along the way that is useful to them. Useful to the customers. And so we're embarking on some new cool ways of using AI there. And
That's cool.
And then of course on the sales and services side, that's a one where there's so many different fingers and you know different connections there.
Let's
Very
talk
cool.
soon. I want to hear how you're doing. We'll talk another
Yeah,
some
me too. I
months.
want to hear that. That's great. Well done.
Excellent. We're into our final thoughts. So thank you everybody for joining today. Any final words of wisdom from Michael, Mike, Mark? Your thoughts, parting thoughts, or words of wisdom?
I'll just say embrace it, have some fun with it, go learn. It doesn't have to be daunting and difficult and scary. Just go and start doing some research on it. If you like to play basketball, you read about basketball. You like to garden, you read about gardening. You're going to need to like AI to a degree, so just read about it.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I think there's I think Kay said there's a lot of new apps, new companies. Everyone's throwing out a lot of AI tools out there. We all know that some of them are going to make it, some of them aren't. I think we're all going to make some mistakes along the way, and in choosing, but we got to keep looking for those ones that really do move the needle. And I think Mark's got a great company he's doing that helps in some of the digital outreach, and how that can potentially book more meetings. But there's so many things out there. We got to keep finding the ones that we like that work.
Thank you. And Michael?
I mean, I think some of the comments made earlier are really important. Like, people matter. And I think that if you can, as a leader, look at it through the lens of, if I was able to free up 30, 40% of available time for my people, how could I leverage that in a way that's going to help them grow and help the business grow? I think sometimes we forget we've put a lot of effort and focus on the technology itself, as opposed to the potential liberation impact on our people. And I think that's a really important part of this discussion.
Beautiful. Well, thank you all. I appreciate it. The AI is exciting stuff. We'll continue to play and explore and have fun with it. Thank you all. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Yes,
It was
thank
great.
you.